Madam President, I come to the floor again today to talk about jobs, about manufacturing jobs, about the high-quality, high-skill, high-wage jobs that America needs for today and for the future. Today, another bill was introduced here in the Senate that shows that dealing with our ongoing challenges of supporting our manufacturing sector, of growing jobs in our manufacturing sector, can have bipartisan solutions. Senator Mark Kirk of Illinois joined me in introducing the American Manufacturing Competitiveness Act, which has a simple but important objective: to require the creation of a national manufacturing strategy. Today, more than 12 million Americans are directly employed in manufacturing. And as I've said on the floor here before, as part of our Manufacturing Jobs for America initiative, manufacturing jobs are good jobs. They're high-skilled jobs, they're high-wage jobs, they're high-benefit jobs, and they have a terrific secondary benefit in terms of the other support and service sector jobs that come along with manufacturing jobs in a community. But we need to know the direction we're heading in a country as we try to support the growth of manufacturing. We've grown more than 500,000 manufacturing jobs in the last 3 years, and that's an encouraging sign. And we are one of the most productive in the output of our manufacturing sector of all the countries in the world. But what we've lacked is a really coordinated strategy between the federal government, state governments, and the private sector to align all of our investments. Our investments in research and development, our investments in new skills, our investments in infrastructure, to make sure they're all heading in the right direction. Do our competitors have national manufacturing strategies? Absolutely. Germany, China, India, South Africa, Russia, they all have thoroughly developed, deeply researched, and prominently successful strategies for how to accelerate and sustain manufacturing as a key part of their economy. And so this bill would amend the America Competes Act. It would require every 4 years that the Secretary of Commerce, advised by a board of 15 different folks, pull together and think through and research and then deliver a national manufacturing strategy. This doesn't require new programs. It doesn't even necessarily require new funding or new federal expenditures. It just requires that we coordinate all the different areas where the federal government is investing in supporting manufacturing and where state and local governments are working in partnership with the private sector. This may be a small but vital step towards giving the lift we need for our manufacturing sector to continue its sustained growth of the last few years. Why is a manufacturing strategy essential? Well, because we've got a couple of areas where, frankly, we're falling short: in infrastructure, in access to capital, and in skills. And having a highly skilled manufacturing workforce is one of the things we need to do if we're going to win the fight to regain our international prominence as the leading global manufacturing country. The Manufacturing Institute and Deloitte, a global consulting firm, have both independently concluded that there are something like 600,000 manufacturing jobs in America today that are unfilled because of a lack of workforce with the relevant skills. And the Society of Manufacturing Engineers estimates that number could increase to 3 million by 2015. So a focus through a national strategy and through some facilitating investments and legislation by this body and the House, and by enactment by the President, and then investments across the board, could deal with these important skill gaps. Why are there skill gaps in manufacturing? You know, many Americans have a misconception about what manufacturing is like today. They have a picture in their head of manufacturing from 10 or 20 or 30 years ago, when it required simple labor, when it required repeat routine tasks, simply putting on a bolt or fixing a particular piece onto a vehicle, where there wasn't any teamwork and there wasn't any continuous improvement required and there wasn't analytical skills required. But that was the manufacturing line of the past, not of today, and certainly not of the future. In fact, the skills required to be successful in modern advanced manufacturing are quite different than what they were 10 or 20 or 30 years ago. Today, you have to work as a team. You have to be able to troubleshoot and to problem solve. There are fewer people working on manufacturing lines, but they are higher in productivity because the analytical skills they're bringing to the job are greater than they've ever been before. That's also why manufacturing can be a more satisfying career, a more rewarding place to work than it was in the past, because it engages the whole human being. It engages the whole worker. It allows them to have ownership of the quality of the finished product. One of the lessons that American automobile manufacturing learned in the 70s and 80s and 90s as it faced the threat of higher quality auto manufacturing elsewhere in the world is to retool not just the manufacturing line, but to empower the individual worker to be engaged in quality control. Those of us who worked in the manufacturing industry here in the Senate, I think, know what it meant to have gone through a process where we had to certify, we had to go through a searching, auditing process to be able to demonstrate if you were a component supplier or if you were part of a supply chain that you were meeting world-class standards. In fact, the ISO 9000 system, the International Organization for Standardization, and its 9000 series audits, which swept through the country over 20 years and ended up resulting in a higher quality of manufacturing, was just the first of a number of steps towards requiring those who were working in manufacturing facilities to have a higher level of skills. One of the ways in which we have an ongoing challenge is that manufacturers, medium and small manufacturers with whom I've visited up and down the state of Delaware, don't know the level of skills and the quality of skills of young people they're looking to hire, who've just finished high school or who might have taken a certificate course with a community college. We don't have a transportable, translatable certificate for basic manufacturing skills. One of the innovations that the IT industry came up with was a whole series of skills certifications that allows you to know that when you're hiring a young person to do office support for IT, or when you're hiring someone to be a network administrator, whether or not they really have the practical skills they need to do that job and do it well. Because you can't guess that by where they went to high school or what courses they took at a college. We don't have a similar sort of reliable, transportable, translatable manufacturing skill certification process, and that might be a part of this national manufacturing strategy. We've certainly heard from manufacturers, large and small, not just in Delaware, but around the country, about what they need, what would put a floor beneath their growth and allow them to be globally competitive. One would be a stronger, skilled workforce. Two would be more access to capital. And third would be more and better access on a fair basis to the global market and global economy. Well, we've had a great first couple of weeks with the Manufacturing Jobs for America initiative. More than 25 senators have contributed more than 40 bills. Many of these are broad or bold or bipartisan bills, which contain the ideas that I think can sustain and grow manufacturing here in the United States and going forward. It's a growing menu of bills that are bipartisan and that I believe not only need but deserve a vote here on the floor later in this Congress. I am grateful to Senator Kirk for partnering with me in introducing this bill today, the American Manufacturing Competitiveness Act, and I am hopeful that it will pick up more bipartisan sponsors in the days and weeks ahead, and that working in partnership with the Manufacturing Caucus, ably led by Senator Stabenow and Senator Graham, that we will begin to hammer out the bipartisan bills that will deserve a vote on this floor and that will ultimately reach enactment through the Congress and by signature of our President. With that, we might well be able to deliver on what we hear most often from our constituents: help us to grow high-quality jobs in this country.